Thank you. Everybody have a seat. Tim, what was his number? So it came to my attention, I noticed it, and Mr. Bryant, the clerk, noticed as well that one of the jurors was sleeping. And I was keeping an eye on him, but it seemed to continue. So I thought it was better for us to stop and address it now. I can remind them all of the need to stay awake and to help each other stay awake, but it seems it's pretty early in the day and it seems to be a problem already. So I want to turn to counsel and ask you how you would like to proceed with this. Mr. Hilliard?
Judge, I can just tell you, in the past, when you have long, dull, dry stuff to get through, just chopping it up, whether they want to take a break or not, tends to do that because they have to get up, go, do that, come back. So it's the routine breaks are not just, it's to kind of keep them moving and keep them engaged. That's the first thing. The second thing, though, I didn't think about this, but it did come up, and I think we're probably getting to the time delay right now where it may matter, is I don't think it was intentional, but the child's names were mentioned on the record, and I just would like to know if there's any way we could possibly edit that out from going out over the air. I know normally routine is something that we'd redact along the way, so it wouldn't go out, but the names were testified to and dates of birth and things like that. And it's just, I don't know if there's any way possible to do it. So.
Mr. Dean. Let's first talk about the sleeping juror, and then we'll talk about that. So do you want to just remind them to stay awake at this point, and we give it a go? Because I also understand, too, we're mid-morning. It's a lot to have to listen to.
There's only 3 minutes left in this video. I think we could just press forward and take a lunch break and tell them to get coffee if they're coffee drinkers.
Okay. Now, as to the redaction request.
I have no intention of doing that. I mean, these children, their identities and their presence in the house is part of the evidence of the case. I mentioned it in an opening statement. The involvement of other surviving children is one of the reasons that I objected to the presence of cameras in the courtroom to begin with. I understand that based on aspects of Georgia law that impose a strong presumption for open access, that the court made the court's ruling on that. But I don't see any way around it. I'm not going to do an entire trial where I'm referring to these children as ZW and SY. It's just unmanageable.
I'm not asking them to do that. What I'm asking is that their personal identifying information like dates of birth and full names just not be aired. He can do whatever he wants. The request really has more to do with what goes out over the television, Judge. And it doesn't have anything to do with Mr. Dean or his presentation of the evidence. I understand. He can do what he needs to do in here. But that information going out is what my concern is about the children, Jane and Scott.
So I understand that. So are you asking, for instance, that Detective Lemons not use the entire dates of birth of the children?
Not using dates of birth or any personal identifying information, and if the media could just maybe bleep the full names out. I'm not asking them to censor themselves. I understand they have to do what they have to do, but it doesn't have to be aired. That's my only real concern, Judge.
Okay. So I'm hearing dates of births, personal identifying information, and I really don't know anything else. The date of birth, I believe, is given for Quinton, and I understand that. I don't recall hearing that for any of the other children.
I think Zane's full name was given, if I'm not mistaken. Like I said, I'm not trying to hinder the state in any way, shape, or form. It really has more to do with Zane and Scott, Judge. At this point. So I'm just asking if maybe they could bleep it or modify it or in some way, shape, or form change what happens before they send it out. I know we're on a 30-minute delay. They have a few minutes where they can do that and at least edit that. That's all I'm asking. It's just to protect the children's identities. And other than that, like I said, I understand the state has to do what it has to do.
First, I do understand that you're not trying to affect how the state presents its case. I get that. And you bring up the point that we do have a 30-minute delay with the media. So I would ask the media to not publish full dates of birth of the children. You can use the birth year. And not to publish first and last names of the other two children.
And that seems reasonable. It doesn't hinder the state, and it does protect the children. That's really my only concern in this, Judge.
Okay, very good. We'll proceed in that way.
On behalf of Court TV here. But I did say their full names in opening statement. That's been released. I think their full names are part of the public record even before we got in here this week. So I don't know, imposing an order on them to redact like a last name every time somebody says it, I think is maybe a little burdensome, and I think it's kind of water under the bridge at this point.
You know, I do think it's burdensome. I do think it's water under the bridge. I think that we're going to proceed as we have been. So I am not going to impose that restriction on the media. It's a 30-minute delay. I'm not going to impose that restriction on the media. That information, some of that information is already in the record at this point. We're going to proceed. Mr. Hilliard, I do understand your concern for the identities of the younger children or the other children being not published, but we're going to proceed as we have been.
I made the record, Judge. I understand.